How are you?
Hold on 1 minute, please. I'm having some difficulties here.
No, no, no problem, no problem.
All right.
So, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Happy to be talking with you guys here today. It's very exciting. Just want to hear what's going on in India with skating and all that stuff.
Okay. Firstly, thank you so much for agreeing for doing this interview. We have about 500 people looking for this interview, and I don't think anybody in India has ever done something like this. So I'm really happy that I got the opportunity to interview you. I'm pretty bad at it, but I'll give my best shot. I'm usually giving interviews, but never done an interview. So I'll go, since we have only 45 minutes, I'll straight away go for the questionnaire. Uh, Tell me about your childhood, and one more thing is about your father owning a skating rink. We want to know about that.
Yeah, so first of all, happy to be speaking to all of you people there in India. I've never been to India. I hope to be able to come one day and share my expertise, share a lot about my life as a speed skater, both in inline skating and ice skating. It's been just a incredible journey for me. But my childhood, from a really young age, my parents owned a roller rink. And here in America, a lot of the kids have birthday parties, and it's a place where people go and hang out on the weekends and skate. And that was our family business growing up. So I skated like 6 to 8 hours every day from the time I was like probably before I was 2 years old. And just that it was my hangout. It was part of my life. And I really found that I had a special gift in skating from a really young age, and started competing, I think, at 3 or 4 years old, and actually won my first national championship when I was 8 years old, indoor speed skating on a 100-meter track. So that's really where I learned how to skate. This started with conventional roller skates up until 1993 when inline skates came out. And I quickly made the jump to inline skates, and it was just a natural progression. And in 1994, became the first 17-year-old ever to win the World Championships in France in 1994. It was an incredible accomplishment.
Wow, wow. I was 3 years old in 90. So, and again, when did you actually get serious about skating? Like, I know you were ever since you were young, you were on the skating rink and things like that. But when did you really think you have the potentiality to like really challenge the world? Like when did you feel
Well,
that?
I played a lot of different sports. I played tennis, I played ice hockey, I skated, I played basketball, played a lot of different sports. But at the end of the day, when I was about 15 years old, I decided that all these other sports, although I was a good athlete doing other things, that this was the sport that I had a gift, and so I decided to give up everything else and
Hmm.
go 100% into speed skating. And while other friends of mine were excelling with college sports and different things like that I'd competed with in other sports, I chose skating. And there were times where I thought, man, maybe I made the wrong choice. But when you stand on top of that podium with gold medals around your neck and you're able to accomplish dreams through that sport, it changes everything. So it's been just a wonderful journey. And there's been so many people that have been so instrumental in that journey. And looking back, and you count all those people that invested in you personally, as a coach, as a mentor, as a trainer, as a therapist, all those people that come together to help you to accomplish that dream. It's just it's a magnificent thing.
Who was your first coach? Who was your first coach?
Yeah, so believe it or not, my dad, we started at the roller rink. We started a team when I was about 4 years old. And we had a lot of people that were older than us in the roller rink. And I think we had a team of like 55 people. And so I grew up with my dad as my coach, but my dad wasn't really like a technician. He was more like a mentor. He was a guy that really taught you how to become a racer, right? And taught you about work ethic and discipline and things like that. And so while I can talk about my dad being a real innovator in inline speed skating, and I still think to this day he's the coach that really changed everything. While that is true, the most important thing was teaching me how to not accept second place. And sometimes that came with being a bad sport. But I think to a degree, I'm not saying it requires being a bad sport, but to a degree, to become the best in the world at anything, you have to not accept second place. And so my whole life was, I was supposed to win, and if I didn't win, something was wrong. And my dad always had this mentality. It was very harsh, but if I got second place, he would say, well, why did you get second place? So that kind of mentality was taught, and it gave me this fierce competitive spirit where if you beat me once, it's just not going to happen again. So it was a different childhood, but one that I appreciate.
Okay, perfect. And going back to your roller skating journey, 52 world titles. The second closest is about, I think, a 25 gold medal. So we're not even counting your silvers, your bronze medals, nothing, your fourth places. We're complete 52, that is only inline skating, nothing to do with ice or your quads or anything. What do you think about that journey about 52 world titles? Like, what does that mean to you?
Well, looking back, starting in 1994 with that first gold medal at 17 years old, that was the beginning of everything. When I was able to accomplish that, I think the world really recognized that there was somebody that skated a little different, that thought a little different, that had just a different mentality. And for me, over the next 10 years or so, I think 1994 until 2002, I actually left inline speed skating early to go to the ice. We'll talk about that later. But that journey was incredible because I had a lot of teammates that were very crucial and very helpful in accomplishing those goals. And then I also helped them accomplish their goals. So when we talk about 52 gold medals, there was also people like Derek Parra and Derek Downing and Keith Turner who combined together probably have about, 20 to 25 world championships themselves. So the U.S. in that period, I can only remember, and some of the teammates over the last couple of weeks we've been talking about it, but I can only remember losing like 3 or 4 races as a team over a 10-year period. So it was
Wow.
pretty dominant, and we definitely had some special athletes. But to go 10 years and be able to win at least 6 gold medals a year at the World Championships, 10 years in a row. Looking back, you don't realize how good it is and how special it is when it happens. But looking back, you're like, wow, what a ride,
Yeah. So, what kept you motivating? Like, you've been dominant every world championship you won maybe 5 or 7 medals. Same thing again, you did that for over like a decade period of time. Like, why were you doing it like for such a long time? Like, like after a point of time when you're so tired of there is no competition for you, how would you push yourself? Like, what would you tell during training? How would you push yourself?
Well, first of all, it's very difficult to continue to try to accomplish the same goals year after year. There's nothing you can do more than be world champion. There's nothing higher and there's no mountain that's higher than that. And so it's very difficult year after year to continue to chase. Uh, so over 10 years, being able to do that, it took a different mindset. And that mindset was, hey, everybody expects me to win. And if I don't win, then they're going to think something's wrong. So the pressure was not in winning. The pressure was in losing.
Okay. Okay.
And it's a reverse mentality, but when you're dominating and you're having a lot of success over a long period of time, people are expecting great things from you, and when it doesn't happen, it's almost like it's the X is on your back, It's like it's different. It's not like, is he going to win? It's like, is he going to lose? And that was a lot of pressure for me, and I really thrived off of it because of the way that my dad raised me with a competitive spirit.
Mm-hmm. So when did you decide to shift to ice? So I know one thing. So before you, Derek was a roller skater, inline skater. He moved to ice. I don't know which year exactly, but he won an Olympic medal in 2002. So I'm sure that was definitely one of the things in your mind. Or was there any skater who really made a thought process for you to shift to ice, or how did that go?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Like I said, you're chasing the same goal one year after another. And the sad thing for me was here in America, we have a lot of sports, and there's a lot of different athletes, that are very famous and very rich and doing all that and have a lot of recognition. And the sad part for me was at that point in my personal life, I was wanting recognition for my talent. I was wanting somebody to really understand that I was the best. And with that, unintentionally being a human, I started chasing fame. I started chasing fortune. I started chasing all those things that at the end of the day are not really important. We look at those things as important things in the world because that's what the world portrays. But I moved to Salt Lake City, Utah in 2003 after seeing Derek Para win a gold medal. And I had obviously skated with Derek so many years on inline skates and competed at a high level. But the reason that I went to ice skating is because I wanted people to know that I was the best. And with inline skating, nobody actually even knew or cared what I did. And it's the sad, sad story because the sport is so great. It's still my favorite sport. It's so special, and we just never got to the level where we could have public recognition. And I call it the best sport that never existed.
Best
And
sport.
it's so painful to hear that. It's painful for me to hear that. It's painful for everybody watching to hear that because we all love it and have a passion for it, right?
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, it's just been such it's been a disappointment for me as well as many other people that are involved. And so nobody knew what I did. In America, I had 52 world championships. I'd never been on the news. I'd never had any kind of recognition, notoriety for what I'd done. And then I travel all across the world, and everybody's writing books about how I skate with the double push, and everybody's just wanting to hear every word that I have to say.
I'll cut you here. I've had 100 people request for something about double push. Like they want to know the story behind it. How did you innovate it? How did you create it? Just the math with which went through it. And because for us, simple, every coach told us to push right, push left, push right, push left. Polar, ever since we started skating. But ever since we started going to the World Championship, that's when people actually really told about double push to us. So if you want to talk about double push also, that would be great.
Yeah, well, I'll go back on the story that I'd already started later. We'll go ahead
Yeah.
and talk about this now. In my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
the double push was God's gift to me. It was a natural way that I skated. And it was also, in my opinion, God's gift to our sport, because people have been able to emulate that technique to improve the sport, to go faster, to push the boundaries, to push it to new levels. And this was a technique that I skated naturally. That's how I came out of. I came into this world with that technique as one of my skills. It's not like I designed I didn't go to it with a pad and a piece of paper trying to come up with a new technique that was more powerful. It was actually a natural way that I skated. So it's still, to this day, if you're not skating and don't understand the concept of the double push, then as you guys know, anybody who's serious about skating, as you guys know, it's going to be very difficult to excel without understanding the concept of the double push. And that makes me smile to be an innovator of the sport like that. And I can't take credit for it because it was natural. It was a natural gift from God, and I'm thankful for that. Those 52 medals, although I worked really, really hard, those were a blessing to me, and I'm just very, very happy that I was the one that was given that talent.
Wow. Wow. So another thing, so what was the mindset you had, like before your race? What used to go through your head? How do you control your jitters or the pressure, or definitely there will be at least one person who would compete with you in the race. Maybe not all the 50 people. There'll be one person who will always give you a hard time, not making that win easy, or somebody who tries to catch shoulder of you or try to take you down or things like that. What would your mindset be before racing?
Well, here's the thing, okay? 50% of the race is won before the race starts, okay? I've been on both sides of it. As I was beginning my career, I could intimidate people. I could really play a lot of mind games for everybody to fear my talent before the race started. And that's a big part of it. But also, you still have to skate, right?
Yeah.
But the stepping to the line and the pressure of people, I almost took it personal, like people wanted me to lose, right? Like everybody that was watching wanted me to lose, and I had to prove them wrong. And the fact is, my dad, when he coached me, always challenged me in a way that I had to prove him wrong. And I thrived on that. So when I stepped to the line at the World Championship, and I felt like people wanted me to lose, wanted me to fail. Well, you know what? It wasn't going to happen. I was there to prove them wrong, and I did it time after time after time. I took it personal. The adrenaline at the starting line, you wouldn't believe it. Just the races, my head in a totally different place. Like, I'm not thinking about the race. I'm thinking about a personal challenge to myself. I'm not thinking about what other people are doing. I'm not thinking about how other people feel, or if they're scared of me. I'm not thinking about what their strategy is. It is a personal challenge to myself to win each and every time.
And so this next question is one of the most important question, and this surprises me. I can't go to sleep with the achievement you have achieved. Marathon, 57 minutes, 18 seconds. Even till date, it's still, I think, 58 minutes, 10 seconds in a 125 mm wheels. You have done it in 84 wheels. That means you were just pure dominant. And even I've looked up the race, I've looked up your finishing line, how you did the race and things like that. I think around 15 minutes to the race, you were all by yourself. So pretty much 3/4 of the race, you were leading, and you had only one person next to you.
Yeah. So
how could you do that? How could you do
that
it in
race
57
was
minutes?
a marathon race in Minnesota, and we it was a race here in the U.S. that we always like to race, called the Duluth Marathon. It's along the water. They have a helicopter that flies over you the whole time. It's a really cool event, and it's a small city, so we really enjoyed that event. We never intended to try to set a record or anything, but we always challenged ourselves, and we were favored to win the race, heavily favored it. My team and I, Keith Turner and Derek Downing, skated with me that day. They were a part of that as well, and really, skated alongside me a lot of the time. But for me to look back and think of the technology with, we're talking 84 millimeter wheels to 125, and every year those guys, there's a cash prize at that race every year for you to beat that record. And we're talking about 33% difference in wheel size. If you saw my wheels when I did that, it'd kind of be like a joke today, right? But the fact is, that day, I woke up and I felt good. And you know what? I felt like I could almost sprint the whole race. It was not going to stop. I was relentless. My legs felt good. My mind was right. And you know what? We challenged ourselves. We didn't challenge ourselves to win the race. We didn't challenge ourselves to barely win. We challenged ourselves to go out there and dominate. And when we got out there, we just went. And I think we probably took off from the pack after about, was it a 26-mile race? I think after about 6 or 8 miles, maybe the last 18 miles or so, we just said, you know what, we're just going to go. And I think I finished the race by myself, but my team had helped out a lot, and it was incredible. And at that point, you don't really realize, like I said, these world championships and all this stuff, you don't really realize how cool it is and what an accomplishment it is for 57 minutes to be on that size wheel. Incredible.
Do you think anybody can claim it this year, the $10,000?
I don't know. It's I don't know where technology is going to go. I don't know where science is going to go with training. A lot of the world records that I have been beat at this point due to technology and science and all those things. But that's one record that is kind of the ace in my sleeve, if you will. It's like something that somebody hasn't taken away from me yet. And it's been, I believe it was 1998.
Yeah, 1998. 22 years. Yeah, no joke to that. And
I have gray hair now, man. I have gray
hair. What about your first Olympics? What was the feeling when you earned the spot to it? I know I've seen Olympic trials. I've seen top athletes fail at Olympic trials. I've seen people forget to wear their transponders. They win the race, they get disqualified because they didn't wear a transponder. And there were races when I skated, when my blades didn't feel right just before I raced. And what do you think? What was your thing going towards to the trials? What was the thing when you got selected, and then when you made it to the Olympics?
Well, so first of all, when I came after winning many world championships on inlines, I moved to Salt Lake City, and I challenged myself to chase the fame, chase the money, chase the dream, right?
Yeah.
And because in America, there was a window for the Olympics for everybody, for you to stand on top of the podium, and everybody realizes that you're the best, and you're an Olympic legend, right? And so that's what I wanted. I remember having memories of all the people, the Americans that have won the Olympics in the past, and the notoriety that came with that. But when I started, I actually got new skates, a new coach. I moved to Salt Lake City, and I'll remember the first several months. I mean, it was very demoralizing to be the best in one sport and to go and have to start all over again. But I remember one day waking up and saying, you know what? Either I can quit and I can be just a not a piece of history in this sport whatsoever, or I can continue to work hard and to overcome the obstacles that are needed. And this was kind of like a new territory for me, because I'd grown up on skates my whole life, and it was a natural progression. Just national championships at 8 years old, all the way up to world championships at 17. That, you know, never really facing this moment of like, dude, should I quit? Is this for me? So this was a strange moment for me, but I decided that I was going to persist and I was going to pursue these goals. And from that moment on, I think I qualified for the U.S. national team in 6 months. And then just a year later, I actually became world champion in 2004. I went there to this competition and I really wasn't expecting to win. I was like trying to get experience and watch what the other people were doing. And I left as the world champion. And kind of crazy, but that was the beginning of it all. That was, you know, that 1994 moment when I won an inline world championship at a young age. And then the 2004 moment where everything just happened so quick and I became world champion. And then on the ice, leading into the 2006 Olympics, I was favored to become a gold medalist. And for, you know, just like somebody in India skating on ice, it's the equivalent here in Texas. You know, it's hot weather. It's that we've never had anybody who skated on the ice before. So to go and be favored and then enter the Olympics, and my race was actually the first race of all the events at the Olympics. And I went there and I stepped to the line, and it was just my time. It was my time. It was just like God had blessed me with a roller rink that my parents provided, just like God had blessed me with the right equipment, just like God had blessed me for having the double push. God had blessed me for this mentality, all these things, all these people that have been so imperative for me to accomplish these dreams. That moment when I stepped to the line, my legs, they just felt so different. It felt like I was skating in clouds, and I went out there, and you know, it was easy. And I ended up winning a gold medal in my first race. So that was
first Olympics, crazy. First place was a gold medal.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, like as you said, it took me at least a year and a half just to get used to the ice, the snow, the cold, and you can't really double push on ice.
No,
you know, like
no. So that was another thing, is that I had to sort of recreate myself, and that was the biggest challenge, and it worked against me. But I created a lot of strength and physically using the double push and creating a lot of muscles that were really, really strong. But most importantly, inline skating from a cardiovascular perspective, if you think about inline skating, you can't glide like you can on the ice. So your heart rate is much higher when you inline skate. And then when you go over to the ice, it's easy because we're used to having a high heart rate, and then you can go glide on the ice, and it's more technical, it's harder on your muscles. It's a little different. But the double push was actually something that worked against me on the ice, that I was having to change some things, and it really held me back for quite a while.
I had few friends, every time they saw me on ice videos and stuff, they said, "Oh, this looks very easy." So recently, we were in Dubai, and it was one of my friends, Kirat's bachelor, and Kunal, a very really close friend of mine, and Samir, Jen. So we were just skating. They said, "Okay, fine, we will go." And one guy went, bam, like he fell down so hard on his butt, and he didn't get up for like next 10 minutes. So that's when he told me, he's like, I don't even know how you guys did, how you and Kirat did this sport, but it's people to look, the sport looks very easy, but when you have to like really go low, push to the side, deal with the cold and everything, it gets so hard.
Let me tell you, the craziest thing about it, and you don't see it on TV, you don't see it in video, is with inline skating, when you get tired, you can take a couple of minutes and rest a little bit and recover. But when you're on ice, when you're done, you're absolutely done. There's no starting over. It's so much harder on your muscles. But yeah, it's totally different. But it looks the same, but it's totally different.
Yeah. 5 rituals at the Olympics before races. What is 5 things that's a must? It can be a meal, it can be a meditation or a movie, whatever you used to do. 5 rituals for you was a must before an important race.
Well, number 1 is I sit, I lay on the floor and I put my feet up for about 5 minutes to increase the circulation in my legs. Number 2, I do imagery. So for a race, let's say it's 12 laps, I go through, close my eyes, and I go through the race corner by corner, straightaway by straightaway to execute a plan. 3 is to not be serious. Sometimes you can be really serious and it turns into something that's not fun. And we don't train our whole lives to not have fun. We train our whole lives to enjoy it, right?
Yeah, correct.
Number 4, share it with those who have supported you along the way. Enjoy it with them. And then number 5, this isn't a ritual, but it's just be thankful for the opportunity. Be thankful for all the things that got you there. And this is one that I think I wish I would have done a little better. But there's so many people when you train. There's so many people behind the scenes that really, really make it possible. And so those are some really, before I won my gold medal, I went into the stands in Torino, Italy, and I had 35 people from Houston that came to watch. I gave all 35 of them a hug, and I went back into the locker room and did my preparation, and I was on a cloud that I can't even explain, just the emotions. It was special. It's really easy for you to get caught up and really feel pressure that isn't necessary.
Yeah. So one more thing, this is a personal question for me, basically anything specific to Indian skaters, because a lot of them are very talented, very hard work. We didn't have a lot of access to coaches earlier, but a lot of people have access right now. But somewhere I feel in their head, not having the right infrastructure really makes them weak mentally. And but this year, when I see the results, there are a lot of people like Arti, Vikram, Niklesh, Danush, people who are in top 5 consistently. They've been winning Asian medals consistently. They've been Vikram Ingle finished 3rd in an Asian championship where there were 4 world champions, and like beating one of a world champion, making himself a presence there was amazing. There's another skater called Arti. She's really good long distance skater. She has completed a points race, 3rd place in a world championship, but didn't take enough points to be on the podium. So what would you tell these guys, amazing athletes who are so close of winning medals at the world championship? These guys are in top 5 consistently, top 10 consistently, but something is going wrong somewhere. But what would be one suggestion or 2-3 suggestions you would give them to battle this thing about not having good infrastructure, or battle this thing of not able to give their 100% because those other guys are way talented or things like that. What would you tell these specific people? Why are they lacking?
Okay,
Don't
number
put them
one,
top 5, top 10. Yeah.
number one, learn how to be the best racer on the track. The fastest person doesn't always win. Okay? The smartest person always wins. There were many times of the 52 gold medals that I had that I may not have been the fastest person there. There were days I was, but there were days maybe where I wasn't having my best day, but I knew how to race. And when you know how to race, I suggest that a lot of you guys go back and watch videos of the top skaters, even go back to, the mid 90s and try to watch races and try to watch strategies and understand the position that you need to be before the bell goes off for the points or whatever that is, to understand where you need to be, when you need to be there, who are you racing. All these things are things that you have to think about before the race starts. It's not just you out there, you're racing other people, and you have to put yourself in the best position possible. And becoming the smartest racer on the track is a huge advantage.
Yeah.
Number two, learn how to skate on a 100-meter track. Okay? Learn how to skate on a 100-meter track. Learn how to do circle drills. About a 10-meter circle drill with your hand on the ground, understanding the correct position to go through a turn. This was a big thing for us in the U.S. We had such a major advantage because we grew up racing on 100-meter indoor tracks on inline. And when we went to the bank tracks and we went to the smaller road courses, nobody could compete because the foundation that we had built for our skill was way more developed than everybody else. And now you see people all over the world using all the things that we applied to our training as early as the early 90s. And everybody's catching up a little bit, but at the same time, it's those fundamental. The best athletes in the world never skip the small things. The small things have to be addressed every single day. You're never too good enough to practice the little things.
Yeah, perfect. And a lot of people are asking this question. Do you have your medals up there by any chance?
Yeah, I got one right here.
Samir, this is for you. Kunal, this is for you. They want to see the medals. Shala has been asking. A lot of people have been asking. They want to see that. Woo! Wow. That's the Olympic gold medal. That's your first medal, too.
Yeah, 2006, first gold medal, won by Team USA. So, and then you can see in the back there, I had a little piece of art done with all my medals, and at the sort of what I looked like as I was crossing the finish line, just like it was an incredible feeling. I'd finally reached that moment where I could tell people what I did, and I was now respected as an athlete. Unfortunately, it took that moment right there here in America for people to even know who I was.
Yeah. And what I've realized is you have 5 Olympic medals, and all the 5 medals are in different distances. 1,000 meters, 1,500 meters, 5,000 meters, 10,000 meters, and team pursuit. After Eric Heiden, I've never heard of somebody do 5 events and win 5 Olympic medals. So,
no.
How did that happen?
Well, number one, as I got older, I started out doing long distance races, and then as I got older, I had some physical issues I had hip surgery, some different things like that. So I had to go and change my distances up to shorter distances as I was finishing the sport. But the crazy thing is, I can't believe I'm saying this, but my best performance in my life was actually a bronze medal. Because I was put into the 1,000-meter in 2010, and it's a race that I had probably raced 8 or 10 times in my life. And I was the third fastest skater in the world that day in the 1,000-meter. And
you
I didn't train
you
for it.
missed the silver also by like 0.10 or something. I've seen the results, and it was very close. The top 3 people were very close.
Well, here's the deal. We're racers. Every 1/10 of a second counts.
Yeah.
Everything counts. That's the difference between gold, silver, bronze, and what my dad likes to say, also participated. My dad used to tell me, you don't want to be the guy that was just also participating. So all these things I remember vividly because this is what pushed me to be the best, right? And you have to take your own relationship with your coaches and understand what's going to push you and how you can develop this mentality. Because I can tell you this, anybody who doesn't have a problem with second place will never dominate. Because there are people out there that take it personal, that do everything they can, that will dedicate their whole life to this. Do you wanna be a guy that is a speed skater that gives 90%, or do you want to be a person that gives it all? And at the end of the day, you look at the piece of work and you say, "Man, I gave it all, and I dominated."
Wow. And last question, one of the last questions actually. Which federation did you like the most? The roller skating or the ice skating? This is a controversy question in India, but it shouldn't be that controversy in the US, I think. But
it's I stayed out of the politics. Okay, I was worried about racing. If I was a fast skater and I was able to win, then the rest would follow itself. So I didn't get involved in politics, and that's why I'm not involved in either of the sports anymore, because I'm not a political person, and to be honest, I'm a bit unorthodox. I skate my own way. I think my own way. I'm just a little bit different.
How hard was it from shifting to roller to ice in the scale of 1 to 10? How hard was it?
Physically, it was hard. Mentally, it was hard because you're just accustomed to competing at a very high level, and you have to start over. So that was the difficult part.
I'll start taking questions from the viewers so that let's see. How can you try it if you? Okay, so this is another question a lot of people want to know. You have a beautiful family. You have 2 daughters and 1 boy.
Yeah.
Out of all these 3, do anybody is planning to skate, or anybody is going to take up your journey, sign up for your journey?
No, I think the journey ends with me, because we're not involved in skating, and I'm completely fine with that. My girls play soccer. My son hasn't really started sports yet. He's just 5. I'm completely fine with that. Skating's been a long journey for me. You imagine doing something from 2 years old all the way up until you're 33 professionally, and it's just been a lot. And I feel very blessed to have experienced the things that I have, but I'm okay calling it quits and teaching my kids the discipline that I learned, but in other sports.
I've seen you do a lot of social work, be it with double push, be it with raising funds for Special Olympics, raising money for a lot of charities and things like that. What drives you towards it? What is the goal behind it, or how did you get into it? Like giving is I know it's a major thing for a lot of people in the US, but who inspired you to start helping out other people and things like that?
Well, I've grown a lot as a person, In fact, when I skated, there was a lot of pride, a lot of arrogance that comes with the things that I accomplished. And if you're not careful, it can really, really own you and define you as a person. So since then, I've become a man of faith. I was given everything. It's not anything that I've done in particular. I became a believer in Jesus, and with that, it has made me, as a human, understand the desires of my heart. And the desires of my heart are not to keep everything myself, are not to only spend time with my family. We have to love each other. And true fulfillment doesn't come in self-accomplishment.
Yeah.
Because if you do not give back and you do not love others, nobody is going to love you when you accomplish your dreams.
Correct. Yeah.
And so it's been a crazy time from being this super arrogant, I'm gonna crush you on the track, this mentality like, hey, I'm gonna prove you wrong, to a guy who understands that it's not all about me. That, you know, we have to share our time, we have to serve, we have to do what we can and use every gift that we have to impact those around us. And the feeling, you guys are going to call me crazy, but the feeling of winning a gold medal versus really being able to impact lives, there's no difference. In fact, I became a man of faith as I received my gold medal in 2006 atop the podium, because I realized that everything that I had ever done was for skating, and it defined me as a person. Chad Hedrick was only a skater. Chad Hedrick was a guy who didn't have deep relationships, that was very arrogant, that sometimes was a womanizer, sometimes was abusing alcohol the nights before the races, really just not a very good guy. And this relationship with Jesus that I have has really molded me into a leader, something that I can look at and I can think, man, because of this, I can make a difference in the world. I can be a world changer.
And one more thing is, I told my mom that I'm going live with you yesterday. So she started Googling all your YouTube videos and all your statements about faith and your testimony, your races. She's a big fan of you right now. And she told me to tell you that you're always welcome to come to India.
Well,
we would love to host you, and we will figure out a way. We will discuss that in the future, coming future. And another question from an Esther who shares my mom's name. She was asking, the question was, how did you go from gold to sold?
Well, you guys may or may not know, but I sell real estate here in Houston now, and I've built a business, and man, it's been very challenging, but also very just a great time.
Yeah.
And I was coming up with a name for my business, and of course, gold represents excellence, dedication, luxury, all those things. And my wife came up with the name Gold Soul, and now we've been marketing my business here in Houston, and it's going really well. And I've got a team of real estate agents that work under me, and it's been really, really cool to be able to use everything I learned from sports, the drive and determination and will to be the best in business now. So it's cool.
That's great. That's great. And another question is, how were the roles played by your family, by your wife? I know, like, you were a father. You had a kid right before your Olympics. You carried the baby girl at one of the Olympics while you won the Olympics. So talk to me about the relationship between your family, with your family, as in like your mom, dad, and then Lindsay also?
Yeah. So we have very clear roles in our household. Daddy makes the money, and Lindsay takes care of the kids, and you know, we eat dinner at home every night of the week almost. We have a very close family. We attend our church here locally. We just have a very simple life, but it's very challenging. Leading a family as a man has a lot of pressure, and but at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to teach our kids and lead our wives correctly. And it's been very, very difficult at times, but I've grown so much, and you know, marriage is tough. We continue to, as humans, think about ourselves more than others, and it's been something that has been challenging, but Lindsay and I are growing each and every day, and we have three beautiful kids who, man, they're just good kids. They know the difference between good and bad, and we're very close, and we just live a normal life. It's nothing
Yeah.
spectacular.
That's good. So, what is one motivation quote or something you would like to quote? Or this is from Suku, one of my very close friend's wife. So, yeah. So, what is your favorite quote, or what was your best motivation for you to do every day, whatever you did during your career? You know, what was the best motivation you had?
The mentality that I took, okay, every day. And if you want to be the best, this is what you have to do. The competitions are a race, okay? But every single race at every single practice is a competition. There is never training. Every day is a competition with you, the people you train with. You prove to them every single day that you're better than them. And if you push yourself and you develop that culture, the culture within a club, within a team, if you create that culture where every training session is a race, it changes everything. You put the pressure on yourself that if I lose, I need to do something more. You can't make excuses. You can't skip days when you don't feel good. That's the difference. That 0.02 seconds we're talking about is the difference between making it a race every day or just training and taking it easy. And I, for 31 years, woke up every day and I raced.
Okay. And one last question. We have literally 3 minutes to go. The live will automatically end after that. So, what would you tell people who've been training but not really winning yet? How would you tell them to work on this themselves?
Yeah. A lot of people that I've raced over many years have great talent, but a lot of them really don't understand the strategies of racing with different distances. You know, in a points race, which was my specialty, that's the race that I love. I still think it's the greatest race on inline skates. You have to know where to be, when to be there, who's behind you, who's in front of you, where you can pass. All these things are going through your head. It's not only, okay, I'm the third fastest guy here today, so I'm going to get third. You know, so you have to really educate yourself and watch a lot of video, watch the best skaters, watch what they're doing in order to understand how you can maximize your chances to be in the right place at the right time and really just increase your chance of success. If you're in, if you're having a points race and you're in fifth place whenever the points start, how easy is it going to be to pass 4 people in one lap?
Yeah.
Not very easy.
Not very easy. No.
So where do you want to be? Do you want to be in second? Probably.
Yeah.
You probably want to be in second, right?
Yeah.
So those are things you just have to think about, and you have to be much smarter than everybody else.
Perfect. Thank you so much. It's last 2 minutes to go. It's already giving me a clock down. Thank you so much for having me to take that interview. So humble of you. You are such an inspiration to the Indian community, to the skaters, to families. You're not only for people, for skaters. I've sent this information to all the people, like my friends, my church, my relatives, my family. I wanted everybody to watch it so that they get inspired by your story. And I'm happy, very happy, I should say. I'm happy that I have a lot of good friends who spread the word, because we decided to do this in a day. Literally, we had one day in mind, and we could implement it. So I'm happy about all the 1,000+ viewers who watched. And we will do more of these in coming months, at least once a month, or maybe two months once or something. We'll pick up a topic and then we'll talk about it. But thank you so much for giving us your time, Chad.
Hey, here's all I expect, okay? I expect about 500 new followers on Instagram here today. Gold to Soul Chad, okay?
Yeah,
you guys follow my family, follow my life, see what's going on. I look forward to being able to connect with you personally when I come to India. I'm open to doing a private camp there if we can make it happen. But more than skating, I want you guys to know that there's more in life than skating. Skating can teach you a lot, but at the end of the day, the person that you are is way more important than how fast you could skate.
Perfect. We will make sure we'll figure out a way to get you to India. And if you're not a skater, you know where to come. You just need to come to my home to meet Chad.